Welcome aboard. Hope everybody's all right. And here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard. This is the Wednesday edition of the Shortwave radio show. And we are live twice a week on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's 5 p.m. Pacific. That's 0 hours UTC. That means for a lot of people, it's Thursday. We are also live on Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. That is 20 hours Universal Time. And we talk about radio. For those that are joining us and don't know, I'm on 6 meters right now, 5313 upper sideband for FT8 decoding. There's a big 6 meter opening. It's not as strong as it was a couple of hours ago, but boy, it was really good. And I had Puerto Rico on FT8. So first time I hear Puerto Rico on 50 megahertz, which is pretty cool. Still doesn't beat my Brazil. And I've seen some stations seem to be contacting Japanese stations on 50 megahertz, which is crazy. So anyways, you can check out 6 meters. And if you don't have that capability, maybe you should check 10 meters. Because if 6 meters open, 10 meters is open. That's for sure. That's why, I always say you got to tune in the bands and look at the frequencies, because you never know. I hear too many amateur radio operators saying, I'm not going to turn on my 10 meter rig before a few years now because of low solar activity, which shows how they absolutely don't understand propagation and have lack of knowledge of what other phenomena can actually make 10 meters open. And you know what? It's not just that, but sometimes it doesn't take that much of energy from the sun to actually turn on 10 meters. Little sunspot sometimes, and just barely making the solar flux rise 10, 20 points is enough to actually turn on 10 meters most of the time. So this is cool. But today it's probably sporadic E-skip because 6 meters is open really far and wide. Some stations just now, N9RC station from the US. There's a lot of VE2s, K7 CTM, a lot of VE3 stations. I had Newfoundland VO1. I had a VE1 also. Really cool. Honestly, very nice opening. And we'll talk about it a little later, a little more, but this is using the K180 WLA right now. And we're going to talk about how my disappointment might actually become something different with my tests that I've been doing since yesterday. Anyways, we're going to talk about that today for sure. There's a beautiful chat room here if you like the show. It's really nice and lots of really cool people that are here to help each other. And that, if you have questions, anything, or just want to have fun with people that enjoy the same hobby as you do, people that just are having fun with radio. Once again, we talk so often that this is a very solitary thing. We're alone with our radios. Most of us have nobody that actually enjoys that. And so here is the place to be, a bunch of people that have fun with radio. And when this is over, you don't have to, have that hangover of live shows. You can actually join in the Facebook group, which is the same name as the channel here, official SWL channel. And we reached 1,000 members yesterday. So this is pretty cool. 1,000 members. And that group is a continuation of all of this with some really, really nice people and great questions and interaction. And I mean, without the group, I would not have checked 11 meters, 10 meters, and I would not have checked 6 meters. It's thanks to the group and the activity in the group with people listening in. So I'm posting the link to the group here, official SWL channel on Facebook. Why not join in? If you want to join, be sure to answer the radio questions. You're not in if you don't answer the radio questions. That's very important. And it's just cool. It's, it's kind of a place where we're always together having fun and interacting, which is great. So it's Wednesday, middle of the week. Bobby Burgess, nice to have you here. WA5107 SWL, Morgan City, Louisiana, USA. Ikadarius, nice to have you here. Rick in Ohio, W8PRR, WOHP 1390. Shelly, nice to have you on board from Pennsylvania. Shitty Pyro 90, nice to have you here. And Shelly can't believe she's actually early this time. No problem, Shelly. We don't always have the time. Frank Ireland, nice to have you here from Tampa, Florida. Shitty Pyro 90 got his 103rd QSL card. Woohoo! That is pretty good. So World Harvest Radio, WHRI. Graham Taplin, nice to have you on board. Paul is sleeping outside in the balcony in the backyard, while there's another cat in the neighbor's yard looking at me because I gave him. So whatever Paul does not eat, I throw in the neighbor's yard, and there's this cat that's been coming and waiting for me to throw something at him. Randall Klontz, nice to have you here from Northeast Illinois. What else do we have? James Farley, nice to have you on board from New Jersey. Was hoping the K180 was a winner. Too bad. Well, we're gonna talk about it. It's kind of interesting. I've done a lot of observations, and it's kind of interesting. Hi, Brawler. Nice to have you here from Arkansas. Jerry DX, nice to have you on board. Joe Sombra Newhouse, nice to have you here from Brazil. Cool AM Radio. Andre, nice to have you on board from Europe. Joe Rutman, nice to have you here from Chicago. James Farley's got CHU time signal from Canada, 14670. Woohoo! Page Master, nice to have you here. Arthur's Alley Crafter's Kitchen. From Massachusetts, nice to have you on board. Stores just starting to reopen, picking up a Radio Shack Pro 2018 at local Goodwill today for $3. Wow, that's cool. Joe Sombra Newhouse at France on FT8 on morning at 10-meter band. Wow, that's good. Northern Dawn, nice to have you here. Randy in Riverside, California. Joseph Hickenbaum, nice to have you here from California. Tom the Xer from the Lower Hudson Valley, New York. Page Master is KC5VOY, WA5136SWL in Oklahoma. Nice to have you here. He says meow to Mr. Paul. And Arthur's Alley Crafters, new antenna report was very interesting. It is interesting. I mean, we are learning stuff. Simon Templar, nice to have you here, my friend. Kimberly, K6YYL, nice to have you on board from California. 6 meters is our favorite band. Takes patience of a saint. Yep, but when it's open, it's fun because, I mean, you use that radio. I remember, it makes me remember when propagation was really good, and I would get, I when I purchased my Kenwood R5000, there was that FM button, and I was always wondering. At first, I was wondering why was FM part of the radio. I didn't know why, until I understood that 10-meter band FM is a thing, and also that a lot of U.S. stations use the studio to link transmitters in FM mode and 25 megahertz. And boy, was I happy one day to hear a FM signal on the higher shortwave bands and be able to push that FM button and actually listen to something in FM mode. It was like, wow, this is cool. First time. And I would chase the FM signals all the time just for that. Cool one. Nice to have you here from Chicago. What else do we have? MDK2, Matt, nice to have you on board. No problem. Stay safe and have a good lunch. Pagemaster, Grunding Yadboy 300p just arrived today. It's nice. I got one here, and it's kind of a nice little radio. It's a nice little radio. It's sensitive and receives well. Mike Thornton, nice to have you here. WC0L in Kansas. Sorry. Shelly says congrats on the 1,000. Cool. Thank you very much. Cool one. Can anyone suggest a soft antenna for the ICOM ICR30 that is similar to the OEM steel antenna? Wow. I don't know what. I know there are different little antennas for the receivers, but I don't know. I don't know if anybody has a suggestion. Remember that the base of the R30 is an SMA connector, not a BNC like a lot of radios. So you might need an adapter for a proper antenna, maybe. Kimberly made 6-meter double hop into Tennessee on 5125, 100 watts last week from Southern California. Wow, pretty cool. Garrett, nice to have you here from the Netherlands. William Helms from Florida, nice to have you over here. Brian Penny from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, nice to have you on board. Anything else? Briar Smoke, KW6JFD, nice to have you on board from California. Papa Campus, nice to have you here from Southeast Wisconsin. What else? Jeff Barry, nice to have you here. 68WR048, Marty, nice to have you here from Northern Ireland. And here we go. We're down the list already. Pagemaster says 2 factors looking for when it comes to receiver selectivity and sensitivity. Cool one. Okay, thanks for your thought, Jill, on the soft ICR30 antenna. I'll let you know what I discover. Look on the internet. Look on eBay. Look at different places. There might be something there, but you might end up using, some antenna with a BNC and then ending using a adapter to with the R30, unfortunately. William Moser, nice to have you here. Today's figures, nice to have you on board, my friend. So beer today. Cheers, everybody. It's a regular fin du monde. End of the world beer. So, got the K180 WLA yesterday. Positive side of it, okay, is how well everything is prepared with everything you need to put it up. I mean, it has the PVC pipes that go into each other. The top end PVC pipe has a small, they cut a line in it so that the loop wire goes in there, and you put a little the PVC cap on it. It's really, really well thought out for that. You've got the metal collars, you've got screws, you've got everything to have it actually set up. It comes with a USB cable for charging the battery. It comes with that fantastically difficult to find cable, which is an SMA to 3.5 millimeter for a portable radio. So they thought about that some people might use it with a portable radio. It also comes with a BNC SMA adapter. I mean, for that side, it is crazy well thought of. It's really well packaged and everything. It has all you need, and that is cool. If anybody ever orders one of the things that you will notice once it gets to your home is that it does not have a battery. So this, I don't know if I can pull it a little more, or else I'll put the camera here. So here is this little box here is the bias T. This powers the antenna. In here, I had to open it, remove the screws, and put a 18650 battery. That said, you don't have to if it's plugged in all the time, by the way. Okay, because I played around with it. If you are going to leave it plugged in like the MLA30, you don't have to have a battery. You can just leave it plugged in and it's going to work, and it works fine. But it does have a space for a 18650 lithium battery. The battery is not provided because the shipping companies do not want to send the antenna with the battery in it. Now, this is funny because if you guys have gotten an XH Data D808, if you guys have gotten some Texan receivers, many of them actually use the 18650 battery, and it is within the radio. So it's kind of weird that with a radio, it works, but with an antenna, nobody wants to ship it. So it's kind of weird anyways. Now, I had about a dozen of those here, so it's not a problem for me. And the good thing about having a battery in it is the fact that it becomes really portable if you want. So that's the positive side of the packaging, everything. The loop is smaller than the MLA30. It seems it's not. Somebody asked the other day if it was a little more sturdy. It's a little more sturdy because it's smaller, but not necessarily because it's thicker. It's looks pretty much the same thickness as the MLA30 loop. And honestly, anybody thinking or wondering or going crazy over the fact that it's a thin metal loop, don't bother changing anything. It isn't worth it, and it doesn't change performance, honestly. And the more I read and see what people are experimenting with the MLA30, the more I notice that playing around with it and changing cables and stuff like that does pretty much nothing on it. So, be warned that you can do it if you want to, but I mean, mine has been I spent all winter outside with snowstorms and ice storms and everything. It's okay. You don't have to change anything, and changing the diameter or the loop itself doesn't add anything to the antenna. So when I installed the K180, it's installed higher than the other loops that I have because it already has its own PVC pipe. So all you have to do is clamp it to whatever mast you have. So of course I used the famous broomstick that I use for my MLA30 Plus. And that makes it automatically higher than my other loops. When I switched on, because there's an on-off switch on the power insert, the bias T. When I turn it on and I start seeing all these wavy lines, I immediately knew something was wrong. So what's happening is that here in Montreal, where I live, the FM radio stations of the city give a very powerful signal. And that signal, those signals, because it's not just one, I have within about 10 kilometers from here, pretty much almost every FM station in Montreal on the Mount Royal, which is the mountain in the center of the city. So it's all there. And so I am in a very high RF FM radio um, part of the city. So the first thing that I saw with the wavy lines, I immediately recognized on the waterfall here that it looked like an FM broadcast. And I took one of the wavy lines. I put the SDR Play RSPDX into FM mode. And yes, in wide FM, I could hear music from one of the Montreal stations. So I immediately understood that it was overloading. Now, what was overloading? The radio here or the antenna? Well, the RSPDX already comes with AM and FM broadcast band filtering. When you turn it on, it's actually very efficient. So the RSPDX does not overload on FM or medium wave broadcasts when you turn on the filters in the software. What was left was, okay, the antenna's amplifier is overloading. So a lot of you have been suggesting, oh, well, you can use, these filters. And no, you can't. It's the antenna that's overloading. It's not the radio. These filters are great for when the radio is overloading with the signals from the antenna. Here, it's not the case. It's already at the antenna. There's no fix, or there's no easy fix for it. And so my first moments, I was a little bummed down. I was kind of, I was disappointed at the antenna. And I thought, well, okay, 80 Canadian dollars for something that's not going to work, But I started tuning around and I started looking at the different frequency ranges, and my feelings have changed a little bit. I mean, if you're a shortwave listener and you are within range of a strong FM radio station, do not purchase the K180. You will be disappointed. You'll have overloading everywhere. But on a VHF range, so, like right now, I was on 6 meters. And actually on 6 meters, I compared it with my mobile vertical in the backyard. It's actually better on 6 meters than my mobile vertical. So lots of spurious signals from FM stations below 30 megahertz. But as I get higher, there's less and less of those on the band. And it actually becomes a decent VHF antenna. This morning, I had a little bit of time to listen to some ARBCOM satellites on 137 megahertz. You know what? What I understand is this might actually become simply my VHF antenna. And even maybe my satellite 2-meter ham radio satellite VHF antenna. But it is very directional because it's a loop. So I'm going to play around with it, but I think that I really have a lot to test out and see what I could do with it. But I think it could be interesting on VHF. For shortwave, medium wave, and long wave, it's impossible. It's not getting anything here. What I thought I would maybe do in the next few days when it's nice outside is open the box, see if I can play around. If there's a potentiometer, if there's a little pot that I can actually fiddle with, that would make me play around with maybe the sensitivity of the antenna's amplifier. If I can maybe play around with that a little bit and see if I could do something to improve it. But it went from disappointment to maybe a decent antenna for VHF. And plus the fact that all the cables and adapters with it. Okay, why not? Okay, it's interesting. And at the worst scenario, I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to use that same PVC pipe and put the MLA 30 Plus on it and just remove the K180. But for now, it's interesting. I was listening to the NOAA weather station out of Burlington, Vermont, which is more than 100 miles away. On my mobile vertical, it comes in at about S6. When I put the K180 and turn it in the proper direction, that same station is coming in at S9 plus 10, which tells me that on VHF it beats my mobile vertical by a good margin. So it might be simply used as a VHF antenna, and it's kind of interesting. But if you use that for shortwave, no, it's crappy. I suspect maybe if you live in a rural area where you're far away of all the signals and the stations are weak, maybe it could work well there. But in a city like Montreal with all the big FM radio signals everywhere, forget it. It's unusable. Totally unusable. Okay, what else do we have? Northern Dawn, can we buy Quebec beer online? Nope. It's very strict. The rules here are extremely strict on selling alcohol. Shady Pyro 90 posted a picture of his World Harvest Radio QSL card on the group. Cool. James Farley, the R5000 has great dynamic range, never overloads. No, it's an amazing radio. The R5000 is an amazing radio. Pagemaster asks if any amateurs use EQSL. Marcelo Fabiani, nice to have you on board from Bolivia. Cyber Flyer 1, nice to have you on board from near Wolferton, England. Rufus Newt, nice to have you here from steamy Laurentian Valley, Ontario. Dr. Sisop says, them FM Montreal stations reach all the way to Plattsburgh, New York. Yeah, they are really, really strong. It's pretty crazy. And, I remember doing a review of a portable receiver and somebody online saying, well, it doesn't overload with FM signals. You must have a defective one. And I said, no, here a radio needs to be rock solid to overcome the overloading of the FM stations from Montreal. And we started talking and said, how can that be? And I said, look, go on fmscan.org and look at the power of the stations in Montreal. 10 kilometers from kilowatt stations is close. It's not there anymore, but there was actually at one point a station, Sequoia 96.9, that was able to run 300 kilowatts here on the FM band. And at some point they did, actually. It was the most widely heard station ever. So it gives you an idea. And I remember he went to see the map and he came back and he said, holy cow, you live in an environment that is crazy on the FM, the strength of the FM stations. So I said, yeah, that's why here electronics that receive need to be really well thought out to remove that. It's crazy. Marc Jutras, nice to have you here. Bonjour de Verdun. And he's a victim of FM too. Yeah, because Verdun is, you're on the other side of the mountain for me, but you're at the same distance pretty much. And you get all the FM, the big powerful FM signals from Mont-Royal. It's pretty crazy. Dr. Sisop, 9395 jammed, S7780, S15 great signal. Joseph Merrill, can you tell me your most recommended portable shortwave medium wave receiver? I still stand by the XH Data D808. XH Data D808. Really, really an amazing radio to get for price versus performance. And it has single sideband. If you don't want to spend too much money, you can look at the RadiWow R108. Rick Saturn, I say, have you here, Rick from Milwaukee. Dr. Sisop says, my local FM bleeds through airband. That happens very often. That happens very often. But you know what, Dr. Sisop, you say you're surprised that FCC does not fix that. That's because maybe your equipment does have the FM bleed through, but the commercial equipment that's used, the high quality equipment, doesn't have the problem probably because the FCC and pretty much every agency, airband interference is zero tolerance. BT Radio, nice to have you on board from Vermont. Larry Cordy, nice to have you here from New York. What else do we have? Artist Out of Crafter's Kitchen put photos the other day of the Facebook group of his 1977 Panasonic RF 2200, his first shortwave radio, a Christmas gift from my parents. I logged hundreds of stations with it, now being fully restored. Cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, it's Mount Mansfield. VT Radio, absolutely. Mount Mansfield. And that's the one that comes in here, 162.400. Very well, actually, in Montreal. So nice to have you here from Essex Junction, Vermont. Paul, AA1SU. What else do we have? Dr. Sisop, there's one way to clear the FM band is to cut the guy wires from the tower. Nerdy Gray Fox, nice to have you on board from Quebec City. May the shortwave force be with y'all. Cool. Tell somebody else. Is the difference of an active loop antenna from a simple passive one the signal gain? So what happens is simply that a passive loop versus an active loop, the active loop has an amplifier that takes the signal and makes it stronger. It also adds one problem, and the problem is like in the K80s problem, for example. It could easily overload, or the amplifier can easily crap out and give spurious signals and stuff. So technically, they use the loop and they amplify the signals that comes from it. Mickey Dalmage, nice to have you on board from Sherwood Park, Alberta, Canada. Dr. Sisop says my car radio can get overloaded by as my local 103.1, 106.1, 107.9 as I came here and on blank spot. You know, one of the things that's interesting is here, when you buy an AM FM radio, you immediately know when the FM part of the radio is crappy, because the first thing it'll do is just overload. And I mean, you don't even have, to give you guys a different perspective on how strong signals are. When I take one of my radios and want to listen to local stations in Montreal, I never, ever pull the telescopic antenna out. Ever. You don't need to. And on the radios that I listen to, so I listen to the VPR station 107.9 from Vermont. And to give you guys an idea, I cannot listen to that station with the telescopic fully extended. The overloading of any radio, whatever the radio is here, any radio I use, if I extend the telescopic, the overloading is so strong that it washes it out. I usually just barely extend, maybe 2 or 3 inches long. And that's enough to get a VPR station. And it's short enough that it doesn't have the radio overload over all the other FM stations. So it gives you an idea of the environment I am here, because I got blasted since yesterday. I don't know how many people think that they are, their knowledge is better than me, and that I'm the one that's wrong, and that I'm not using it right, and mine is defective. And I got dozens of these messages yesterday, including from some people that said, well, I got one and it works right. Yeah, come and put that same antenna here. You're going to see it doesn't work right at all. So it's like the ICOM SCR30. A lot of people that have it are happy with it. But it suffers from the same thing that amplifier and that antenna does. Overloading of so many strong signals around here. It's crazy. I would be very curious to take it and go and, far from the city where there's signals are weak, and put it up and set it up and see how it works. Because it's possible that in a weak signal environment, it probably works fine. It probably works great, but it doesn't here. And so, the verdict is very clear. If you live not too far from FM radio stations that are pretty strong, don't get it. You're going to waste your money because you're not going to get FM reception. And I've stumbled across maybe a dozen comments and articles since yesterday of people that tried the K180. And what I saw is that a lot of them actually reach my own comments on it, saying, well, you know what? I can't get this thing to work well on shortwave at all. So, that's the bad part of that antenna. But you know what? I'm coming to love it as a VHF antenna, which, why not? Could be interesting, I'll be playing around with it a little more, and including tomorrow. Bill, nice to have you on board. Simba was put to sleep Thursday. Oh, so sad. So sad. But, he's in a better place, and it's better than have him, suffering. And so my thoughts go out to Simba. And stay safe. I know how it must feel, for sure. Frank Ireland, on Amazon and eBay, they advertise Sangean ATS 909X Professional. What is the difference between professional and regular? The color is the same. I think the only difference that it has is maybe what comes in the box as accessories. But be very careful, because Amazon and eBay have tons of people selling these with a very, very high price tag and giving them names that aren't to be given to them. But I think that the professional version has some accessories that don't come with the 909X standard. But the radio itself is the same thing. You're not having a better radio. You're just having more accessories with it. Roberto Rojas, buenas noches. How are you, my friend? What else do we have? I don't agree, William Helms. The 909X and the 909 receive the same. They're actually pretty much the same. But they are deaf on the telescopic. Both of them. Eric Cottrell, nice to have you on board. It says 6 meters seems to be going away here. It was open earlier, and I even heard some 6 meter AM. Wow. I posted a video on the VHF UHF channel. A few USB contacts, voice, and some FT8, including Puerto Rico. Is there still something here? There's WB8ART right now. Am I hearing any stations? Yeah, I'm still hearing some stuff, some FT8. So it's getting very weak though. It was so much stronger earlier. But you know what? It's been 4 or 5 minutes, 4 minutes that I haven't received anything. So I think the skip is going away now. Ray Carlisi, nice to have you on board from New Jersey. Congrats on the 1,000 members. Thank you very much. Others are the crafters. Environmental conditions are everything with an antenna. I always tell people when they ask me what antenna I'm using, your mileage may vary. Yeah. I agree with, there was a comment yesterday about antennas, and, I agree with one thing. The first antenna you should try out of the telescopic of your radio is a long wire. Put a wire outside, put a wire antenna. Start by that, because a lot of people want, oh, what's the best antenna for that I can afford for $100, $200? You don't need that. You don't need that if it's quiet where you live. If it's quiet where you live, wire is enough. Just put 20, 30, 40 feet of wire. You're going to have great reception. You don't need anything else on shortwave. But then comes but it's very noisy where I live, like here. Now, when you're in that situation, the wire isn't enough, because the wire, it picks up the signals, but it picks up the noise. So you're raising your noise level, and it's not helping. That's where you start thinking, okay, what else can I use? And that's where I would, I'll go to the second step and say, get an MLA30 loop. That will be your best bet in a noisy environment. Because if it's quiet, you don't have to spend money for an antenna. Just put outside a nice big wire. And if you're a little, crafty and all, you can build yourself with wires. You can build yourself dipoles and stuff like that without spending big bucks for commercial antennas. Honestly, if you're a little crafty and understand a little bit of how everything works, you can build yourself your own antenna with wires, and never buy a commercial antenna from anybody, and DX the world and have contacts even as a ham radio operator, especially today with all the radios that when you transmit, they have, antenna tuners. So if you're not perfectly tuned, a lot of the radios have their own tuners that will tune your antenna for you. Of course, that means there's, always a little bit of loss, but still, I think you don't need to spend a lot of money for antennas. But then, like I said, if there's a lot of noise, that's where, okay, maybe something else could be better, Keegan, next to ADXer, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas with doing reception with his Ethon Grenadier Edition Field BT radio. Rufus Newt says, let's get some more thumbs up. Mongoose, nice to have you on board from the Mississippi Gulf Coast. What else do we have? Let's go down. Roberto Rojas says, Radio Farda 5860. And that's a relay from, don't remember from where, but it's a relay. What else do we have? Dr. Sisop, I wonder if HD radio signal causing bleed through. Brent in Brockville, Ontario, Canada. Nice to have you here. What else do we have? Fastlow, nice to have you here. Says racked up a lot of FT8 on 10 meters not long this evening. Yes, the opening was really good. I had several stations in USB voice, like Eric Cottrell. I had 5125. I had some stations. Had a few stations on 5134.5. And I think 5145 was the other one that I had some voice AM stations from the US. Lots of activity in FT8 on 5313, including Puerto Rico, which was very, very nice. So, when I saw Puerto Rico, I was like, oh, reminds me when I heard Brazil. So, really a nice opening, and always a lot of fun. Rufus Newt, random wires are awesome. William Moser, question. I got a text in 606. I can get the sleep mode to shut off the radio The radio shuts off on me after 10 minutes. What am I doing wrong here? Yes, I did put in new batteries. Because when you choose sleep mode, you have to choose the amount of time. So I don't have the 606, so I don't know exactly how to do it. But often when you use sleep mode, the either up-down buttons or the tuning knob will change the amount of minutes. So on your 606, the sleep mode is probably set for 10 minutes simply. You'll have to set the sleep mode and learn how to change the time. Usually you can go, like most radios, go up to 120 minutes. But your sleep mode is probably at 10 minutes right now. That's why. Padrino, thanks for recommending the MLA30 for me on your stream last week. I am really enjoying it and seems to work very well. Cool. Fast Load says, used to bring my R20 back at Kiamika up North Quebec. Yeah, well, when there's no noise, it's crazy. When there's no noise, it's crazy what we get. When I go to Perry Island, it's a world of difference. It's not far, but it's a world of difference from my home location. I just put a piece of wire and I get all these transmissions and it's like super clear, And you go back home and you're like, yeah, okay, I'm depressed now. I'm not receiving any of those. Cross Leaf Fiver, nice to have you here. Yeah, Slinkies. That famous Slinky antenna. You have to be it's funny because you totally understand how you got to be a radio fan to see a metal Slinky and say, oh my God, I want to try that as an antenna. I would when I was doing the shortwave when I was younger, I remember going outside and everything I would see that had metal on it was like, oh, I wonder if I clip my antenna to this, if it's going to work better. Pretty crazy. Lee Thompson, nice to have you on board. W8QFE. Take care, Cool AM Radio. Always nice to have you on board, Andre. Stay safe. Yeah, it is very windy, actually. Absolutely. I was out to look at a few things, and here the air conditioning. I've not totally completed the install, so I could see that by one edge of the window that there's the string to the there's a kind of a vertical wire, and it's slightly moving, showing that there's some air actually getting in. But it is very windy tonight here. Absolutely. Mark Elford, nice to have you on board. Frank Carolina, what else do we have? Yeah, I recall seeing that, Eric. A commercial Slinky type HF antenna. So, it's kind of interesting. But William Moser, you don't have to. I don't think you have to reset. I think you just not set it to the proper. It's set to 10 minutes. So continuing on the discussion of the K180, like I said, yeah, I'm gonna open it in tomorrow or when it's nice. I mean, probably this weekend. I'm gonna open the little plate because I want to see inside, and I want to see if I have access to maybe the pot where you could maybe adjust the gain. If that is the case, I might try tweaking the gain to see if I can have it perform better. If I don't have access to that, what I thought I would do is use it as a VHF antenna. It's extremely directional. I mean, I used it yesterday because one of the first things that I did and thought of is, and Eric Cottrell had mentioned that also as a comment, try to turn it to null as much as possible the FM stations from Montreal. But the problem is they're so strong that they don't know really much, and they're still all there. So I am stuck with whatever positioning. Yes, they get weaker on a certain position, but they're still there. So it doesn't fix the problem. And I was listening to the NOAA stations from the US on 162.400. And I mean, I could have it max at S9 plus 10, and then I would turn the antenna until it's totally gone, and I would not hear it at all anymore. It's pretty crazy. So it's so directional that I thought, what about if I take it down and use it manually as some kind of, maybe satellite tracking antenna or something? I don't know. I'm gonna test out. I'm gonna play around with it and see what happens. But definitely in VHF high, for example, 150, 160, 170 megahertz, it definitely receives better than my mobile vertical does. So I'm thinking of, it's going to be a VHF antenna. And I'm thinking of positioning it in a way that, I can maybe use it to track satellites and listen to 2-meter ham-band satellites. And all will not be lost. It's going to be used for something. So anyways, I'll continue playing around with that for sure. What else do we have? Crossley Fiber says he'll give you his 2 cents on the antenna when it arrives in about a month from West Texas. So I'll be checking it out, and I'll see what can be done. At first I was a little kind of bummed out, but when I saw its performance on VHF, it gave me a few ideas of. All is not lost. VHF, UHF might be interesting on it. So that's it. So it mostly means also, if you're thinking of a shortwave antenna, if VHF is not something you're going to do not get the K180. Get the MLA30. That will work fine. The K180, if you live in a environment where FM stations are too strong, it's going to overload. The Blind Picker, nice to have you here, Rob. W0RAB in Connecticut. And nice to have you on board, my friend. Apart from that, so 6-meter and 10-meter, 11-meter opening today, which was really, really cool. I mean, there was so many stations and so many things to listen to. It was really, really nice today to check that out. I also have taken down one of the MLA 30 antennas so that I could put the K180. So it's here in parts, and I'm going to get myself another broomstick probably, and it will be and become a portable antenna. The MLA 30 that I will be using now will be a portable antenna for going out to the park. I'll power it with a. I thought of using my little power bank and power the antenna with the power bank when I go out. This is gonna power the MLA 30 for days. So I'll have something to. Power it, and it's gonna be my portable antenna. I think it's gonna be cool for that. And I think this is going to be just great. Instead of bringing wires and stuff, I'm just going to bring my little broomstick and my MLA 30. Why not? For the rest, also, some people were asking me about the expeditions and stuff, Perry Island. So I haven't done any of that yet. With COVID-19 and all of that, it's been kind of complex. But I am thinking of soon returning to Perry Island. I'll be looking at the weather next week and maybe dedicating a full day at. I need it. I mean, I think for my mental health, I need to I need to do that. It will kind of bring me back to, um, I don't know, a certain normality of life that I've kind of not had in a little while. So I think that's going to be something nice. So I'm going to check it out next week for that. What else do we have? Dan V, nice to have you on board from Ohio, the N8WJZ. Reconnecting after thunderstorms. Jason Francis, nice to have you on board from Ottawa. So that's it, John Doe. That's what I'm thinking next week. I was looking at the weather. It's going to be kind of decent in the lower 80s and some sunshine. So I think next week I'm gonna think and try to do a Perry Island the expedition. If it's not with the MLA30, at least with a wire antenna. And I think it's going to be nice to just change my mind and see something else. Papa Krampus NGN-A2S909X is a really good set when used in a quiet environment or with a 10-15 feet real antenna or a MLA30, comparable to my Texan S8800 and S750. The radio itself is good. The problem is the telescopic. On telescopic, it is below performance of any other radios. But once you put a external antenna on it, that's where the ATS 909 shines. And performance is the same. I've played with the original 909 and the X. The performance is exactly the same. The only difference is that the 909X is a very beautifully designed radio. It's very nice. Very beautiful looking radio. That's for sure. Kim Ahane, nice to have you here from Yokohama, Japan. Pretty cool to have you on board, my friends. Marc Jutro, I would like to join you if you don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind. If you're from Montreal, so if I do something, absolutely it'd be cool. Be cool to meet up with a radio somewhere. We could also go on. There's quite a few big parks there in Verdun that would be nice to set up. Also, I haven't been in that part of the city in a long time, and there's some really nice parks in Verdun near the St. Lawrence River. So that's also a place I could meet up, and we could meet up and do radio. I'll bring an MLA30 or some wires and stuff, and bring a few radios and have fun. That'd be great. That'd be great, Mark. And John Doe says, yes, it is depressing when there's no hockey. William Moser, I got it fixed. Did not ask how I did it, but I fixed it. Now I hope I did not get turned back on before I get crazy. Oh, man. It's crazy. Papa Krampus says, I also have a Radiolabs version that mod is a huge improvement on 909X internal whip. Okay, so you got it. You got it modded. So so they've improved that. That's good because the telescopic is crazy. Crazy. What else do we have here? Let's check it out here. Everything is all right. Okay. PageMaster made my first contact on 20 meters last Saturday, 6th of June, with an operator in Prince George, British Columbia, Canada. Cool. Congratulations. Frank Ireland says Amazon US doesn't have the XH Data D808 anymore, so eBay sellers have really raised their prices. Well, that is expensive. When it gets, because you have two choices. I mean, the XH Data D808, when it was around $100 ish, it was a decent price. But when it gets to 170, $180, then I would probably tell everybody, if you have to pay 175 on it, get a Sea Crane Skywave SSB. What is wrong with my clock, John Doe? Mike Jutro said, great, let me know. Can arrange it. Yep, cool. Would be fun. Ron Hicks, nice to have you here. KM4LDI. And only wrote one reception report today. So lazy. What are you doing? I'm joking. I haven't written a reception report in ages. What was it the other day? Oh, I think it was yesterday evening. I was getting Iran in French. It's a regular one here with a pretty good signal from 2320 UT to 020 UT in French, an hour in French. And I was listening to it yesterday around 2350 UT. And it came to mind that, hey, I should do a reception report to the Voice of Iran. I haven't wrote to that station. Last time I've written to Iran was in the 80s. And I guess they must still be QSLing. And yesterday I really was thinking, man, I should do a reception report and see if I can get a QSL from Iran. Jam Diversify, nice to have you on board from Australia. And nice to have you here. And it's always fun to have something cool to watch, absolutely. And while working from home, even better. You can work and watch stuff that you like. As a friend of mine was telling me, you know what? I'm working from home and I'm watching tons and tons of Netflix shows and stuff. It's like, yeah, that's the difference between working at home. Kevin Wood from Nova Scotia, nice to have you here. So no, it's in UTC, John. It's UTC time. This clock is UTC. Shortwave is in UTC all the time. So now it's 9:02 p.m. here local, but it's 1:02 UTC. We on shortwave, we never use local time. We are using universal time. Ron Hicks, 40 and 80 meters on Kiwi SDR have been quite noisy the past couple of days, especially when you're in the northern hemisphere with the the thunderstorms and everything. For sure. So Bobby, why are you hiding Mark? So what else do we have? Northern Dawn, Ratty Wow is $111 Canadian on eBay. Wow. You know, there's been more and more difficulty and getting the XH data D808. I've almost been wondering if they haven't stopped making it, or if COVID-19 made the production slow down, because it seems to be harder and harder to get and harder to have at a decent price. I mean, I'm happy with my XH Data D808. Canadian, it cost me something like about $110. At that price, it is totally worth it. But it's not worth it $200 or $300. That's a different story. You know? Mongoose. Yes, I know Bobby, and it's all right. I don't see what's the problem there. I mean, he lives in the same city that I do. Mongoose. So yeah, Hurricane WatchNet and everything is important. So, anyways, look at the website for the Hurricane WatchNet, hwn.org. They tell you there if it's they'll tell you there if it's active or not. And when it's active, they activate the net mostly when a hurricane. You know, I don't remember if they activated just for like a tropical storm thing, but when a hurricane gets big enough and it threatens land in the U.S., they activate the net, and there's a lot of traffic and a lot of stuff happening. So it's worth checking it out for sure. Mickey Dalmage received a nice QSL card from Radio Free Asia today, featuring the antenna site for their Biblis Germany site. Wow, this is cool. This is cool. This is cool. 10:02 a.m. in Yokohama. Early Thursday morning. Enjoying tea, coffee. John Doe, UTC is not connected to lunar sunsets or anything. So universal time is at the zero meridian. We used to call it Greenwich Mean Time in the old days because it crossed Greenwich in the UK. So that timeline is what we use as universal. We call it universal time. It does not follow daylight savings times and stuff like that. It is always the same. The only thing you need to know is the time difference between your clock and UTC. So here in the summer, in the Eastern time zone, UTC is 4 hours ahead. So 8 p.m. becomes 0 hours universal time, which is midnight. In the winter, because we do take our clocks and bring it back 1 hour, it changes to 5 hours difference. A lot of people get mixed with that because they think that it's UTC that changed, and UTC didn't change. We changed our clocks in reference to it. So universal time is the time frame that not just a shortwave listeners, but ham radio operators, scientific community, and so many things. We all reference to UTC because we all know what time it is in UTC wherever we are around the world. We all are in the same UTC. For example, our friend in Japan is 10 a.m. over there, but he still knows that it's what time it is in UTC because we all use that time as a reference. If it wasn't for universal time, it would be difficult. A station would have to say, well, you can listen to Radio Romania English at 4 hours Romanian time. What the hell is 4 hours Romanian time in Montreal? I have no idea. And China Radio in China would say, well, 12 hours Beijing time for North America. What the hell is 12 hours Beijing time in Montreal? UTC is there to give us a base that everybody knows what UTC it is. Wherever around the world you are, it is 1 hour and 9 minutes UTC. In Japan, in Canada, whatever time zone in North America and Europe, it's 1 hour, 9 minutes UTC. We're all in the same time frame. That means we all know when a broadcast is going to happen. And that's why I always say, if you become a shortwave or amateur radio operator and do a lot of it, a UTC clock is important, because it's easy to get mixed up sometimes in the conversion of, our local time versus UTC time. So I always say, either have a clock like I have here that is always set in UTC, or have it on your radio. Most radios have a clock on it. And I always tell everybody, don't put that clock in local time. It's a shortwave radio. Always put your portable or your radio's clock to UTC. That's the time you need to know on a radio, not local. Take care, Joe. Somebody new else. Always nice to have you on board, my friend. Kimahane has coffee. Cool. What else do we have? Ron Hicks. How are you guys writing international stations for QSL cards? I'm asking because they don't make IRCs anymore when using postal mail. Actually, most big international broadcasters do not require to have postage for return. And so you can send for QSL cards and ask. So if you ask Radio Romania, they don't need to have anything in return for QSL cards. Those that usually will are smaller stations, and what they will want in return sometimes is something for postage. So IRCs aren't really something anymore, and anyways, they've always been a problem, and always been very expensive. So what you could do, if you're writing a very small station that might not reply to you, you could either include a US bill, a couple of US dollars in the envelope. You could also, what some people do is do what we call self-addressed stamped envelopes. That's inserting in your letter a envelope with the stamps, new stamps from the country that it's going to come from. So that already pays for postage and will increase your chance of getting a QSL. But for the most part, most big stations do not require that. John Doe, UTC calibrated by atomic clocks. Yeah, well, all time is calibrated by atomic clocks to be perfect. But yeah, atomic clocks are actually calibrated by atomic for time zones and for UTC anyways. KC Red Dragon, nice to have you here. Even the radio stations, one of the things that people don't know is that WWV, WWVH, CHU Canada, the same atomic clock that drives the clock is also used to drive the frequency of the transmitter to make sure that the frequency is perfect when they're transmitting. No problem, John Doe. Yeah, Greenwich, meantime, Zulu, is same as UTC. Absolutely. Take care, Kadarius. Nice to have you here. Jean-Marc Letz, bonjour et bienvenue de Strasbourg en France. Nice to have you here. John Doe, so when they started UTC, how did they figure out the seconds and the tone? Did they just fire up some atomic clocks How did they keep this time before atomic clocks? Well, I don't know how long, or it's been how when UTC and even before UTC. I don't know when we agreed upon a standard. I would have to read on that. I've never checked it out. But before atomic clocks, there were some extremely precise mechanical clocks that could be done that would keep time in a very, very accurate way. So you can build a mechanical clock that is amazingly precise. Atomic clocks made it better for the accuracy and all of that. For the rest, like the stations, the seconds and the tones and stuff, that is dependent on each station. It's not something that it's each station has its own way of doing it. So if you listen to RWM, Moscow Time Signal, it's time pips of different length for different reasons. If you CHU Canada has its own, time tones, WWV has its own time tones, all decided by the way that they designed it, simply. But I don't know how old UTC or Universal Time is. And when somebody decided someday, you know what, we need to have Universal Time to coordinate everything. I don't know how far back that goes, actually. Gordon Lyle, nice to have you here from Southern Illinois. KC Red Dragon, 5330 Romania. Romania is not on 5230. Unless you're talking of a ham station on the 60-meter band. Rick Carlisi just received his new XH Data D808 from a well-rated eBay seller in China for $91, including shipping, and it arrived in 2 weeks. Now my Sony ICF 2010 has company. Cool. So you have been able to get one for $91 on eBay. So you gotta search. Graham Taplin says lowest Canadian price for XH Data 808 $195. Yeah, one of the biggest problems here in Canada. One of the biggest problems in Canada is our dollar is really, really low compared to US dollar currency right now. So it boosts the price of everything a lot. Matt, I don't think there was UTC before atomic clocks. I think it was only Greenwich Mean Time, and I'm not sure how they defined it. I don't know the story behind, because I know that before atomic clocks, we had that Greenwich Mean Time, which was the universal time. And I know it goes it goes far back, but I don't know the story behind when and why everybody decided to agree upon it, and how they agreed that that would be the one. All I know is that Greenwich, or that time zone, is the zero meridian on the globe. When you look at how they put grids on and to separate the different east and west degrees and so on. So like the equator is is there's the equator, which is zero, and then you have the north and south latitude. Greenwich is the same thing. It's like the equator of the east and west. It is a line that is the zero meridian, and then you are either west of that or east of that in degrees. So I don't know who and how and when they decided all of that, but I know that Greenwich Mean Time is something that goes quite far back. But when and how it was all decided, that's another story. KC Red Dragon 6754 upper sideband is Trenton Military in Ontario, Canada. So What else do we have? Keegan has 5000 WWV S1 out of S5 with noise and sounds like another station on the same frequency. There is another time station on 5000. Maybe you're hearing some other time station. There's 2 or 3 time stations on 5000 kilohertz. And I've heard sometimes some talk on 5000 and on 10,000 also. I don't know if it's fishermen or something, but Timmy 900, nice to have you here. Frank Carolyn says, I always thought it should be called CUT since they call it Coordinated Universal Time. Yeah. It's weird. I don't know. Because they technically call it Universal Coordinated Time. I think it just depends on whoever decided to say it in what order or something. Gern Lyle says, look up History Guy on YouTube. He has good video on time zones and all of that. So that's, I will be looking at that tonight. I'm going to kind of learn a little more about that. Lee Thompson, WWV time station will make a correction of 1 second. Yeah, that's not just WWV. It's so there's 2 types of times that all of this is coordinated. There's something called Universal Time Coordinated, and there's something that is called UT1, which is based on the Earth's rotation and position with the sun. And that makes a difference. And when that difference becomes too big, they will add a second to make sure that the time follows as closely as possible the UT1 thing. There's kind of a it's a thing I've never really looked into, but I know that the difference between both of them is when it gets too big. That's when they decide to add a second to it. Because what happens is that the UTC time in our clocks are not exactly following our 24-hour cycle. Because in reality, the day on Earth lasts 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 4 seconds, something like that. And so what happens is with time, they need to adjust it. Kema Haynes says GMT adopted 1st of November, 1884. Huh, interesting. Ron Hicks, if you ever get your ham license, you should have Paul the cat on your QSL card. Yes, I agree. So, yeah, the French have a lot of measurements, different, not just of time, but of units. They have a lot of the original precise measurements. RJDA Dakota, nice to have you on board. Says UTC adopted by astronomers for as long as I know. Mike Hill, nice to have you on board, my friend. There's a movie called Longitude about the formation of GMT. Interesting show. Okay. I'm going to check that tonight. I want to learn more about it. I never, there are things that we use every day and that we never really think about until we bring up the subject and you're like, you know what? I don't When was UTC and GMT and all of that agreed upon? I never took the time to read on that. Steve Miller, nice to have you here. Used to get my solar flux info on WWV, WWVH before the internet. Hey, same here. I remember when I wanted to know how the solar conditions would be, I'd wait until the 18th minute of WWV and listen to their reports and hope that for the minute that they give the report, that propagation was good enough for me to understand what they were saying. Gordon Lyle's got WWV on 20 and 25 megahertz right now. Let's check it out here, just out of curiosity. So let's remove ourselves from here. Let's check it out here. Do we have WV on double 25? So I'm going to switch to antenna B. And so I've got nothing there. And let's try 20. Whoops. Let's try 20. Nothing there. So right now, it is on 15. Not very strong, but there. Actually, not too bad. And of course, on the K180, it's not there at all. So 10. It's pretty good on 10, though. Actually, I hear it's actually pretty good. 9996. If you guys want to try, RWM time signal from Moscow on 9996 right now, it is there. I hear the quick peeps going on. I actually noticed it while listening to 10 megahertz WWV. So 9996. RWM time signal from Moscow, Russia. If you don't have CW, you can try 9997 lower sideband or 9995 upper sideband. But definitely here RWM Moscow. What else do we have? Just heard music under WWV. You know what? Try to tune 5085 WTWW or something. Maybe you're getting a little bit of overload of one of the stations. Maybe it's just overloading from one of the US stations that's coming in stronger, Keegan. Something to do with French. Well, in French, it's temps universel coordonné, TEC. So, TUC, sorry. Temps universel coordonné, TUC. It's weird. But I do believe, and like Matt says, MDK2, the official abbreviation for Coordinated Universal Time is UTC. This abbreviation arose from a desire by the International Telecommunication Union and the International Astronomical Union to use the same abbreviation in all languages. English speakers originally proposed CUT, while French proposed TUC, which I was just saying. The compromise that emerged was UTC, which confirms to the pattern of the abbreviations for the variants UT0, UT1, UT2, which I was talking earlier. So that's interesting. We are learning stuff tonight. So what else else do we have? Because if I look here, 5,000, I am hearing WWV. Yeah, 5,000 seems to be. I think you're having some overloading from some other station, maybe, Keegan. Because even here, I have only WWV, so I don't know. It's not impossible. What else do we have? Yeah, but pirates don't usually interfere with intentional broadcasts like WWV. I would be curious. I'm sure if you search around, some station playing music is maybe overloading the radio if you have a very powerful station. Estrella Garcia, nice to have you here. Hunters Auto Crafters says, my dad has a photo of the USNS Vanguard, the tracking ship of Apollo 11 during that he was on during the mission. Wow, that must be so cool. Matt says, holy crap, I have you with less than a second's delay going by that time pip. Wow. Okay. Crazy. Marc Jutra, it's like a very time, it's a very, because on 10 megahertz, you got WWV, which is pretty strong, which is one time pip every second with the tone. But 9996 is, so let me just go back here right now. Right now, it's just a tone. So right now, it's just a tone. And every 10 minutes or so, there's an ID like RWM in Morse code. So right now, it's just a tone. William Helms hub for, but at the time that you were listening, Mark, it was very fast time pips. But right now, you should be hearing just a tone. That's the RWM time station out of Moscow, Russia, using 4 kilowatts. That's interesting. You know what I would do, Keegan? Try to use another radio and tune the medium wave band just out of curiosity if there's not a very strong medium wave signal. I don't know. I don't want to doubt that you're listening because I mean, I'm sure you're hearing some music and stuff in ID and talk, but it's interesting. And if there would be a pirate, it would show up on HF Underground. So I don't know. I'm thinking you have some overload or something. Trying to think here. Mongoose, if you had ever had interference using your long wire or other antennas, what did you do to reduce the interference? So my sloper, which is technically along a wire, 70 feet wire in my backyard, is very noisy. There's a point where you have very few possibilities to fix anything. So I live in a big city. There's a lot of noise around me. Where I live, there's a lot of houses. So what happened over time is you can try to reposition your antennas. You can try different things. But the only thing that really helped me here to reduce the noise is to change the type of antenna I'm using. And I went from a wire to a loop, magnetic loop, that is known to lower somewhat the noise level around you. And you can null out by the directional pattern the noise around you. It's pretty much the only thing you can do. So that's how I somewhat lowered interference. So yeah, Keegan, it's kind of interesting what you're hearing there for sure. Matt recently got a PDF QSL from Radio Romania International that wasn't filled out at all. I'm supposed to print it up and do it myself, I guess. That's kind of weird. Nagjitak got 9996 indoors with the whip on the Yachtboy 400 PE per signal, but hey, I see the Darman Royal antenna in my window. Oh man. So Casey Red Dragon got a carrier 9996. Matt says, yes, RWM will be a carrier through 37. It's silent for 38. Then RWM and CW repeated for the 39th minute. And so they have a pattern that they go through, which is kind of interesting. And by the way, if you want to QSL them, they actually QSL. So you can have what is one of the last QSL cards from Russia. If you ask for a QSL from them, you can get an RWM QSL card from the time signal station in Russia. So thanks, Matt, for checking out and sharing the info about the time pips of RWM Moscow. Lee Thompson says 10 seconds between us. Yeah, depending on the computer, the buffer, there's sometimes some buffering happening to make sure the stream goes well and everything. So John Doe 9996, you listen to it in CW because I'm just getting a tone. I hear no pips. Yeah, right now it's a tone, John Doe. Before we went to 0130, it was very rapid time pips. So they have a pattern. So right now it's just a tone. And then you're going to have, in a couple of minutes, you're going to have a change, and you're going to have an ID in Morse code at the 39th minute. So it's 37. In 2 minutes, we're going to have RWM sent in Morse code. Keegan checking reception of the Ethon Greenwich Edition satellite radio with SSB. And he's got only WWV over there. Crittenden total 4. Nice to have you here, KJ7NUX. What else do we have? Casey Red Dragon, lots of Olivia on a handband. William Moser. Do non-directional beacon ever change their beep beep signal on the same frequency? Not that I know of. From what I know, it is always the same tone for the same station. VT Radio, only hearing WWV bleeding over 9996 time pips on AM tone, and on CW my filters are on. Have you tried 9997 lower sideband? So it moves WWV away from it. So right now, so if I put myself in, I'm going to do it. 9996. I just put myself 9997 lower. It should be giving ID and Morse code in a few seconds from now. Here we go. RWM Morse code letters are being sent right now. So you've got Morse code identification of RWM Moscow time signal right now. The NV is hearing CW now. William Moser got it on the lower sideband. So 4 kilowatts out of Moscow, Russia for the time signal. Well, I'm using lower sideband. I'm using lower sideband, Casey Red Dragon. So to move away the WWV, because honestly, we could see that WWV is very strong right now here. And now it's just 1 second time pips right now. It's just 1 second time pips right now. So you guys are receiving RWM Moscow video radio. Yes, hearing the CW now. So that's they are on 3 frequencies. I hear them often. I actually noticed it was there because I use a wide filter on AM sometimes. When I tune 10 megahertz for WWV, I was hearing the time pips from RWM. That's what's giving it away for me. So I hear it. I have a keen ear for that. So they're on 3 frequencies. They use 4996, 9996, and 14996. 14996 I will hear in the early afternoons in the summertime most of the time. So now we hear 9996. And 4996, although I heard it last week, will be something I hear more often in the winter. But RWM time signal out of Moscow, Russia, guys. Coming in right now. East Coast, at least. Pretty cool. It's pretty cool stuff. So Matt says still too early on the West Coast. Well, not West Coast, but further west. Keegan has WBCQ on 9330, which is 500 kilowatt superstations. VE2FGJ, nice to have you on board. VE2FGJ from Quebec. Always like your shows. Keep up the good work. Merci beaucoup. Toujours un plaisir. Oh, really? If 9330 is very, very strong, Keegan, it could be. It could be. I'm suspecting, these radios are great, but sometimes when there's a very powerful station, it mixes in with what we're trying to listen to, especially if you have an outdoor antenna or something. I don't know if you have one or not. Rufus Newt as 9996. Great. Steve Miller got it in Arizona. Shitty Pyro 90. I probably won't get 9996 CW as I'm on the west coast of British Columbia. Yeah, for you guys there, it's still early. 35, Olivia on 35 isn't. Let me just check something here. Yeah. 3589-ish. It's 3588. Let's see if I can decode anything here. It's not very strong. FLDG. It's not very strong, but we're going to try it. I know that there's a... So Olivia, odd mode Olivia Olivia, 16500. And that looks like 16500. Because W1AW. Let me just check it out here. W1AW schedule. Well, I'm not decoding anything right now. Has digital bulletins, but it's turning on 3.597. It's not that. So I'm not decoding anything there. I'm not sure it's Olivia. It could be Olivia. Let me just put this a little stronger here. I'm not sure it's Olivia. It's not 1K. Oh, I don't know what that mode was. Well, what is that mode? Some hams are playing with digital modes, that's for sure. That's a lot of fun, but it's not always super easy to pin down exactly what they are using as a digital mode. It sounded like Olivia, but it didn't decode in Olivia 16500, which is often the standard. 3589. So I don't know. So I'm just hearing it again. It just started. John Doe has 4840, which is WWCR, Nashville, Tennessee. Miki Dalmage, 9996 coming into central Alberta. Cool. 0143 UT. Keegan says, I use an FM antenna designed for use outdoors connected to the Ethan Grundig Field BT edition. Huh. Okay. For shortwave, I switched to the internal antenna. Okay. Garnet Lyle's got 9997 lower sideband. Recorded it. May let them know I received it. Yeah, you can get a QSL card. So Rufus Newt, cooked dinner. Cool. Hal Kirton. Can anyone hear K4KZ5055? I've never heard it here on the East Coast. In North America, I don't know if anybody has really logged it. Maybe the West Coast could have logged it. Nice to have you here, VK4FFKZ. RJ Dakota says 9996. All I can hear is WWV. The problem is a lot of modes sounds like Olivia, but are like, Contestia, Olivia, they sound the same. And it's hard for me to, like right now, I don't know. Now, of course, they're stopped because I'm trying. Sometimes it's hard to totally, what else do we have? Gordon Lyle. Yeah, when there's a new update, that's a big update. It's a reinstall of Windows. So anything that is a virtual cable or anything that is virtual drivers are removed. So you have to redo these drivers on any big new update, because it's part of the problems that could be in Windows. So they just remove them so nothing messes up. It's actually not, it didn't mess up. What happened is it just removed it. But of course, when you update, it's not what you want. So W1AW has different modes. It depends on the day. So for example, the digital bulletin of W1AW is, it depends really on the day. So what they send out is, okay, they don't have Olivia, but they have, so they can be sending radio teletype Baldo, so radio teletype PSK 31, and MFSK 16. Kind of interesting. It's been a long time since I've received W1AW, one of those digital bulletins. When is it? Digital bulletin is at Eastern time. So we just missed it. It was 9 p.m. or 01 Zulu. We missed the digital bulletin for tonight. There's a voice bulletin at 0145. What are the frequencies of the voice bulletin? Voice bulletin. Did I ever hear a voice bulletin? They're on 399. So let's try the voice bulletin on 3990. I don't hear anything, but apparently they have a voice bulletin on 399-729-1429. Isn't it an AM? These are frequencies often used by AM transmissions. So, wow. Yeah, voice on 7290 is AM, double sideband full carrier. Man. Lots of interesting stuff in here. What else do we have? So, John Doe, is Windows 10 a good platform on SDR rig? Yep. Honestly, Windows is the best platform for SDR for a simple reason, and it's the only reason I will give that is valid. Because if all other platforms had the same software, I would not give a preference. Because some of us love Linux, some of us love Mac OS 10. I'm a Windows guy, but I'm not closed down. I mean, I dabble on all the other platforms also, but Windows is the platform where you have the most choice of software. So that's why I have to say, if you have to choose a platform for SDR, choose Windows. It's the only one that has really a lot of choice of software. If every other platform had the same choice, I would say choose whatever you want. The only preference, the only thing that I'm saying here to use Windows is because of the choice of all the programs. Because if it wasn't for that, I would say whatever you want. Choose whatever you want. It's okay, But for the rest, I mean, like, for example, John Doe, I use SDR Play. So this machine you see here updates every week, because that is an insider machine on Windows 10. This thing is testing Windows 10 that's coming out for you guys this fall. So every week I get a new build. I got a new build today. And you know what? It doesn't mess up my SDR play or anything. It every time I get back, it works fine. Where it is a problem is depending on the type of SDR you're using. For example, an RTL SDR that uses that special driver from that Zadig file that you have to click, and then you have to install the driver. Now that will be messed up every time you update with a major update. Windows 10 updates with a major update twice, like not even once a year right now, because the second update is just a cumulative update. If you use an RTL SDR, you'll have to reinstall the driver when that happens. But for the rest of it, when it does security updates and stuff like that, it doesn't mess up anything. Or almost. That's a good question. I would think that it is. Do I see mine here very close? Nope. Or else, just check out here. RWM time signal QSL address. Out of curiosity. Let's see if we have anything here. Quickly. You know what I will do? I will QSL them because I want to have a QSL. I will QSL them this week, and I will post a video of where I sent and how I sent my report. Well, John Doe, you should update your phone if it's an Android, especially an Android phone, like even an iPhone. So many security flaws in there. It's pretty crazy. Matt says, I'm a pretty much a lifelong Mac guy, but radio made Windows mandatory. I started with my wife's old work PC, but got an HP Omen laptop because I needed the power. It's not my main computer. It's all a question of the software most of the time. When I was a tech guy, a lot of my clients asked me, oh, Mac is better, this is better. It's like, I never told anybody of any I'm not the kind of guy that pushes you towards an operating system, because that's very personal. An operating system is like your home. And I have to say, I've used Linux. There's some really nice Linux distros that are fun to use, honestly. Sometimes I go into a Linux distro because, it feels different. When we paint our home and change things around, feels like we're in a new place. What I like about Linux is that you install a distro or a different one, and it's different and it feels different and things are different. It's like using a new computer entirely. So, when somebody tells me I'm using Linux, yes, oh, fine. I got no problem with that. I've always been a Windows guy. And with what I do, of course, with the channels, is I'm clearly a Windows guy. But I am not a guy that will tell you should not use something. And that was a very defining and changing thing when I was a tech guy, because a lot of clients would say, it's funny. My other tech guy told me to use that and do this. You don't tell me to do or use something. And I said, no, you're happy and that works. I'm not here to change whatever you are doing. It's not my job. My job is to have you do what you want with what you have, not to tell you what you're doing is wrong unless it's really, really bad because you're doing something really how that shouldn't be done. But so when I see somebody says, I like Linux, fine. I don't have a problem with Linux at all. It's cool. It's cool. It's actually healthy to have choices. That is even more with what I will say is that it's healthy to have choices. I've never been a fan of Mac OS. I had a MacBook for years. It's okay, but it's not my thing. I'm not, I don't like the way Apple locks down stuff. And that's probably why I don't like it. But honestly, for somebody that does very basic things and needs a computer, it's okay. I got no problem with that. But often what will arrive at some point is, I want to do this. Yeah, well, you have to get Windows. Yeah, but I got a Mac. Yeah, I know. But there's no choice of nothing to do it on Mac, You'll have to have Windows to have real good choice of software to do what you want to do. I'm not pushing you towards Windows. I'm just telling you, because of what you're doing, you'll have to move on to Windows because that's where you're going to get really the amount of stuff that, that you want. It's life. Yep, SDR Uno 2 version 2. That would be nice, though. I think that's a really good. Somebody was telling me about digital modes. Oh, you should have advertised multi-PSK is much better than. So multi-PSK has a messed up interface that I hate like crazy. But yes, it does well what it needs to do. It's just the interface is cluttered and bad and horrible. But somebody was telling me you always advertise FLDG. And I say, yeah, because you know what? FLDG works on every freaking platform. So when I talk of FLDG on my channel, I know that a Linux user can get it, a Mac user can get it, and a PC Windows user can get it. That's kind of cool because everybody can get it. If I talk about multi-PSK, it's Windows only. And it's bad and the interface is horrible. So, it's that. It's the way it is. I mean, Eric Control's having fun with the release candidate 2 of 1.4 of SDR Uno. And you developed a plugin that can load the Shortwave SCADs, CSV file, and the PlayStation names on the Spectrum display. So cool. That is cool. I'm waiting for it to be finished before updating. What else do we have? Yeah, Eric, come on. You have the knowledge. You have to do it. What else do we have? Shady Pyro 90s. Looks like I am still not hearing Radio Havana Cuba on the same frequency, probably having transmitter problems. What frequency you're tuning, Shady Pyro? So they should be on 6,000 right now, right? I'm going to try it. Well, Radio Havana's carrier, Radio Havana Cuba's carrier is really strong on 6,000, but the audio is almost impossible. It's like low and distorted. But the signal on 6,000 is there. That says, I have to say, Windows these days much more user-friendly system than it used to be. I worked a lot with it in the 90s. Yeah, before Windows, Windows changed when Windows XP arrived. After Windows XP, Windows was friendly, user-friendly, and easy to use. Before Windows XP, it was another story, and it was something. It was horrible at times, and would crash so much before Windows XP. It was crazy. What else do we have? So I got 6,000 kilohertz, but the distortion, it's a low distorted audio. Yeah, Radio Cairo's off. I haven't heard anybody mention Radio Cairo in a long time. My Kill says gets to work with Windows, Mac, Chromebooks at school. It's mostly Chromebook for our students now. Windows laptops for teachers. Yeah. Well, Chromebook is it's a nice system. But I think having choice is important. Having choice is important. Matt says, I remember the XP upgrade. Our company was still on Windows 95, but had gotten new CIO brought us out of the dark ages. I remember, people have a very short memory of things. And over time, and with what I'm doing on the YouTube channel with Windows, so you get, oh, that was the best Windows ever. That was the best Windows ever. And one of the things that's interesting is, as a tech guy, I started doing tech guy duties with Windows 98. My first clients had Windows 98. And that's in 1999. Some had Windows Millennium, which was totally horrible in 2000. A few of them had Windows 2000, which was the code base used to make Windows XP, by the way. When Windows XP arrived, people were going nuts. Their devices would not work. And what happened is that when Windows XP arrived, it was based on Windows 2000 core. And what happened is that core was very different from what Windows 95, 98, and Millennium was built on. So a lot of hardware stopped working unless they had new drivers. And a lot of manufacturers didn't make new drivers because they wanted to sell more printers, scanners, and whatever. And it made people mad. And I remember Windows XP's reception was horrible. People were complaining. People were going crazy that was the most horrible Windows ever. And when it was actually retired, so many people said, oh, the best Windows I've ever seen. Yeah, you have a short memory. I remember the time when all of you crapped on me, telling me that Windows XP was the most horrible experience they've ever had. And the same happened with Windows 7. When it came out, so many people crapped out on Windows 7 and on me, even though I'm not the guy responsible for making them. I was the guy just helping you out. And then at the end, when it was retired in January of this year, oh, the best Windows ever. So it's very relative and it depends on so many things. But every time there's a new operating system, it's always a tough thing to do. All right, JDA Dakota says these old Castro era tubes. And they exchanged a couple of boxes of cigars, Cuban cigars for tubes to the transmitter. Mickey Dalmage has email. Oh, Sheldon Harvey, nice to have you here. And he's got Russian standard frequency time verification with QSL. Oh, nice QSL cards here. Pretty cool. So it's time to do it, guys. QSL. RWM. So we could maybe check out here. So the address. What's the address? So the address. RWM. Kind of interesting. I want to have a QSL card from them. I never did QSL RWM. Shitty Power 90. So if I was to get a QSL card from RWM Moscow, would I use the 2 email address? It's there must be an email, there must be postal, could be the postal address on the QSL. There's an address on the QSL card. Eric Kachal, first computer ran CPM and HDOS. My first computer was a VIC-20, so it ran a Commodore Basic. Then I had the Commodore 64, Commodore 128, Amiga 500. Amiga 500. I'm sad that the Amiga never took on, because it beat the Amiga 500 graphic user interface, beat everything that existed at the time. Even the Mac computers were nothing compared to what an Amiga could do. But, you know, that's not the way it works. It's not the best machine that actually goes forward. It's the one that was pushed the best and the one that has resource to actually have it go forward. Gordon Lyle says, this day has been nuts. So trying to make myself a Malibu rum in pineapple. Listen to Shortwave and relax. Do relax. There's a lot of there are days like that, Gordon, and you got to take it easy. And cheers. Casey Red Dragon. 2 weather fact signals on 1276 and 12780 William Moser, if you were to get a classic shortwave radio, what would I get? Oh, wow. That's a tough one. There's some really beautiful classic radios out there. That's a very tough one. I don't know what I would get. You know, if I had to get one classic receiver, I would like to have something that has always been presented as some of the best top of the line receivers ever. A JRC NRD 525 or something like that. Something like that. Russian State Time and Frequency Service Institute of Metrology for Time and Space. So that's the address, apparently. Oh, I know, John Doe. You know, I still remember. I still remember last year, I think it was 2019, yeah, early 2019, going to the bank. And while waiting in line, it was the Windows XP screensaver going on half of the computers at the bank. And I was like, wow, really? They're using Windows XP at the bank. Is my money safe? Is my money really safe here? Oh, man. Mike Hill saw a classic shortwave receiver on a movie last night. A fantastic Mr. Fox and a Hammerland receiver in the background. Wow, cool. Shady Pyro 90 has 4XZ 6607. Let's check it out. 6607, which is Israel. Yep, coming in. Morse code from 4XZ. And by the way, you know, there's a mystery with 4XZ. Because 4XZ is a maritime station. But a lot of talk has been done about 4XZ sometimes being used for spy number stations with codes and, you know, stuff. KC Red Dragon still has TRS 80 color. Hey, I've got a Commodore 128 there. I've got a Amiga 500 down there. In the back here, I've got you guys don't see it, but I've got an Atari 1040 ST. And so I've got also an old portable Amstrad PPC 640 with LCD screen, which was kind of a portable computer, not really portable. So I've got some old technology here, and I'm waiting for, there's a lot of stuff. But I've got the Amiga 500 right here with tons of stuff, an external drive, and so on. It's all in here. It's all here. Padrino, nice to have you here. Of all the Windows version, ME was, in my opinion, the worst. Yeah. It was very unstable. ME was not good. ME was interesting because what people don't know, ME was the first version of Windows to actually support flash drives. Of course, back then we had like 32 megabyte flash drives. But before ME and Windows 98, for example, if you bought a 64 megabyte flash drive, because they weren't gigabytes back then, they were megabytes, you had to have that driver CD to put the driver. But Windows ME was the first to have drivers pre-installed for flash drives. But unfortunately, you know, I still remember I purchased Windows ME for $129 in, what was it, 2000, 1999, something like that. I had an old HP Pentium 3 600 megahertz to run that, which had, I think, 128 megabytes of RAM, something like that. Oh, man. Oh, man, Microsoft Bob. Clippy. I remember Clippy being so annoying. That was the most annoying thing ever, Microsoft Clippy. Can I help you do this? No, it's not what I want to do. Shut up. Well, Windows 7 for Enterprise is still supported for 3 years if you paid for the extended support, you know. Pedrino, Amiga was an amazing system. It was, absolutely. That's for sure. Space Cadet 3D Pinball. Oh, man. Ink CD video, sorry, from Windsor. Like your radio reviews. Just curious, is that a radio clock in the background? A radio clock in the background. If you're talking about that, that's just a clock. This is a radio. the Aethon S350DL. I'm trying to see if anything I've could miss. Aethon. This is the Grundig S450DLX, which doesn't work. I turned it on, and it doesn't work right now, and I haven't done nothing. But this is just a clock, by the way. Take care, Erica Troll. Yeah, no problem, Marc Jutra. Take care. Stay safe. Toujours un plaisir. So 4X Zeta Morse code. And pretty strong Trenton military on 6754 upper sideband. Trenton military, and it's not actually in Trenton. It's out of Trenton, but not far from Trenton, Ontario, Canada. So what else do we have? So we had a lot of stuff today, talking about the opening on 6 meters and all of that. K180 WLA antenna that is crappy on shortwave, but what could save it is its performance on VHF. And apart from that, just that much. What I hated about ME, Pedrino, Windows Millennium, is that you would install it 10 times and it had 10 different behaviors. One time would crash more often than others, and you didn't do anything. You just let it install automatically, put the drivers, and you would install it 10 times and it would behave 10 times differently. It was like, what the hell is that? I got to say, at least thank you for one thing, is the Windows is now very, very stable. I use Windows 10 on all of my machines. Rock solid. I got no problem with that. John Doe says he's not heard Brother Stare for a while, and have not heard the waiting. He is running out of money or just getting old. He's there. He's there. You're just not listening to the proper times, because I stumble on Brother Stare quite a little too much. A little too much. Oh yeah, I remember Windows 95 on floppy. So back then we could use the floppy in the key or the CD in the key of somebody else, and it would work. And so what we would do, one of my best friends, what we would do is when Windows 95 came out, he purchased it, and we paid half and half the price so that we could both install it, because it would work back then. And I still remember that after about a year and a half, I had to reinstall Windows 95. And I was in, disk, 3.5-inch disk after disk after disk after disk. And I think it was on the last disk that it came up with read error on disk. You're on the last floppy, and it says read error on disk. And it's like, no, it's going to crap out after me switching floppies for the last hour and a half. No. These were the times. He sounds, you know what, Matt? You're saying he sounds tired. He sounds, I would say his voice sounds like someone that's sick. And because, his voice is definitely not as strong, or I don't know if it's the stress of what's upcoming to this trial or something. But anyways, Shelly, I've been meaning to tell you, I'm still going over the videos you did for beginners and really appreciate them. I hope you're getting good feedback from them. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm getting a lot of positive, and I will continue them. I do a lot of videos every day, and what happens is sometimes I have to choose what I do because there's so much. And I love the feedback and everything, but at some point it's like I need a balance between I need to have a life and have some time for myself and have also the time to do the work, which is the videos. Because for me, this is work. My paycheck comes out of YouTube, so of course you got to do stuff, and you got to do stuff every day. But the problem is I have to split myself in several channels. It's not like having one channel that you do just that. I split my time among several channels. So I have to focus sometimes, and there are weeks where there's one channel that has a lot of activity or stuff, and sometimes there are weeks when the Windows channel has so many things happening that I concentrate a lot on that. And don't forget that the Windows channel for me is 70% of all the money that comes in. So if I have a choice of doing a video of something here or doing a video that's important that's going to give me some money on Windows channel, I will favor the Windows channel because it's where the money is. So I have to take some decisions of where I do what. And sometimes there are days where I do a lot of videos on other channels, and doing videos looks like, oh, it's cool, you're at home and you just do videos and it's easy and it's fun. No, it's not as it's not as easy as you think. When you do videos, you concentrate, you talk, you work on different things to make it right. I gotta tell you, after you've done 5 or 6 videos, there's part of you that's like, wow, we're working here and we need to take some time. But I try to balance it and balance everything. I really need to do the SDR Uno videos because I know it's going to help a lot of people. I need to continue the beginner videos because I know it's going to help a lot of people. So I try to balance all of that and do it the best that I can. Mike Hill, we upgraded our teacher laptops from Windows 7 to Windows 10. No need for Windows 8, yeah? You know what? Windows 8, I will say one positive thing about Windows 8. For a touch tablet, Windows 8 is better than Windows 10 on touch. It is a very nice system for touch. That's all. Matt says HF Underground is reporting that Seeker Radio is relaying the show on 9630 upper sideband, apparently. 9630. Anything here? Hey, I'm hearing some talk. Yes, I'm hearing myself. I'm actually hearing myself. It's working. So 9630 upper sideband. I am hearing myself on 9630 upper sideband, which is a first because the other times that I tried, I was not hearing myself. So thank you for whoever is behind Sicko Radio, Pirate, and relaying my show once again on 9630 upper sideband. Pretty cool. And so this is the official SWL channel on YouTube. For those that don't know what it is, it's a channel dedicated to radio and shortwave radio in general. Thank you once again, Sicko Radio, for the relay. It's so funny. I'm hearing myself in the background here. Glenn Zekman, nice to have you here from Tennessee. Casey Red Dragon, so glad floppies are gone. Are they really gone? Come on. Are they really gone? Look at that. Look at that. And I got like 20 boxes of these. So these are for Amiga and the Atari, by the way. Michael says you're a radio pro in no time. Shelly is great to learn from. Thank you very much. Camac Z 1976. Don't recommend getting the Windows 10 issues. Yeah, it's rolling back. It's rolling okay, honestly. You could be one of the. Make sure you update the drivers of your machine, though, when you get it. All my machines here are on the update, the Windows 10 May 2020 update or version 2004. Jason Francis had the same thing with those darn Windows disks. I think it was a bad batch. I installed Windows 95 like dozens of times and worked all the time, but I didn't take care of the disks. They would like lie around somewhere. So one of them became, floppy disks are very sensitive to magnetic fields. So Matt says my first real computer was a PowerBook 5300CS, which was briefly the world's most powerful consumer laptop. Wow. Had to back up the OS on 8 floppies. RJ Dakota, Brother Stare is not on as often as he used to be, at least on the WRMI stations, but he's still there. Now, more often than not, I hear music. There's a lot of music on WRMI, I have to say. And, there's one thing that kind of scares me a little bit. So WRMI have been doing two things. They've been promoting a lot more of paying to have your own show on the air. I've heard WRMI this week at least 10 times saying, hey, you know that you could be on the air, you could be on, you can be reaching an audience of millions or thousands of people or whatever. Write to us or go to the WRMI website. I think they are searching very hard for more shows to pay. Because, when they play music, nobody pays for that. Honestly, they are paying for it. And what happens is that what I'm scared is the more music we hear on WRMI or even WTWW, have you noticed how much music plays there? The more I hear music, the more I'm scared that these stations might actually go away. So I don't know. It's crazy. I don't know. We gotta, I don't want these stations to go away. Imagine WRMI tomorrow morning closing down, shutting off. Imagine what North American evenings of shortwave would look like. We wouldn't have anything to listen to if that happens. I can tell you that. Mike Hill, I do videos at work so I can empathize, Jill. People ask me to do videos for them sometimes, and they have no idea how much work it involves. It does. This is my work day. And imagine a day like today, for example. I got to do my videos for my YouTube channels. Plus, I know that later in the evening, I will have to be up and happy and here to do a live show like this for a couple of hours, if not more. So, it's a lot of energy. Al Slavinsky says, I sound good on 9630 upper sideband. Do you know how I can DX the new country of Camp Hell Zone? I don't know. John Doe, good night. Nice to have you here. 9700. Station on 9700. Oh, yeah. Very strong. That is in Spanish. That is in Spanish. 9700 right now is, let me check it out here on the schedules. If you look at 9700 in Spanish, it's Radio Romania. You're listening to Radio Romania Spanish transmission to Central America. So that's what you're listening to, KC Red Dragon. Psycho radio is how you say it. John McClure, nice to have you here. Pedrino says, doing videos on a regular basis is a difficult job. I applaud people who can come up with content that doesn't come dull. That is also something that people don't realize. But sitting down, you wake up in the morning and you think about, what am I going to talk to or about today that is going to be interesting? When you did thousands of videos, that's also something you got to think about. I'm always in the mode of thinking and trying to see what exactly should I do? What am I going to do next to keep the audience? Keeping the audience is another story, I can tell you that. I am in an increased audience all the time, but it's something. Casey Red Dragon hunting on the SDR for 9630. John Doe, 9630, coming in at S5. Bobby Burgess said they should have kept the CD caddy. To give you an idea, guys, where the World Radio TV Handbook is here. When I purchased this big desk, which cost me $1,000 almost, where the World Radio TV Handbook is, and on that side on my left here, there were plastic. There were some plastic with holes in them to put CDs, because that's what we were doing back in 2000 when I bought this desk. We had CDs. Oh man. Jason Francis, great show. Have to leave. Take care, my friend. We'll request a QSL from RWM. We want to know if you got the QSL. Let us know. Huh? It's really, really, really nice. Yeah, floppy disk are sensitive. KC Red Dragon, 9580. Yeah, I believe from Cuba. 9580 is... It's China Radio International from the Cuba transmitter site. It's a relay from Cuba. They've never come back from... they've never came back to the Albania transmitter site, unfortunately. Never came back. It's sad because the Albania transmitter site was the best. On the Cuba transmitters, sometimes their audio is very low. Matt says PowerBook had 750 megabyte hard drive and 8 megabyte RAM installed. Updated that, whopping 32 megabytes. I still remember my first hard drive I've ever purchased that I thought I would never need more space than that ever. It was a 500 megabyte drive that I purchased for like $180. And I thought, oh man, I've got so much space. Yeah, I got a terabyte here and it's half full. 9420 QC Red Dragon is Voice of Greece. Voice of Greece. Ranjit Darnal, nice to have you here from Nepal, 9N0001 SWL. Pretty cool to have you on board, my friend. What else do we have? Actually, they're using Cuban relays, KC Red Dragon. That's all. They're using Radio Havana Cuba relays. They had some kind of arrangement to have China Radio from Cuba. That's for sure. So, you know, it's interesting to see all of this happening, and all the technologies have changed, you know. I as long I had a VIC 20 and the Condor VIC 20, and I had the DX 100 roughly in the same year. So my growing up from teenage years to today is basically founded on being in parallel in radio and computers all the time and all the way through. So it's kind of interesting. I am trying to figure out, because someone was asking me the other day what are the periods of time that I listen to the shortwave the most and the least in life. I have kind of blackouts of moments of where and what happened with all with I mean it's for me this year 2020, sorry, 2020 is 38. What is it? 30. So 1982, yeah, 38 years. 38 years of shortwave listening. And in August of this year, in 2 months, I'll be at 38 years that I got my realistic DX 100. That started all of this, and that parallel world, radio and computers, is probably why I'm here and I'm doing this. And in all of those years, there are times I didn't listen a lot. I was very, very active. I would wake up in the morning. As a teenager, I would wake up in the morning, turn on the shortwave radio, go to school, come back from school in early afternoon, turn on the shortwave radio, and look at what letters I'd received from stations around the world. And I would. It was my life was revolving around seeing a couple of my friends shortwave radio in school. It was revolving around that. And it was very intense. I was intense in the shortwave stuff. And I was also amazed at all the shortwave stuff. I was amazed at what radio was. I was amazed at everything. It's like discovering a new world. Anything we do that's totally new, that we never knew about, we are amazed at. But when I entered college in 87, was it 87, 86? In the fall of 86, I went to college. I was in applied sciences. You had to study like crazy just to have at least passing grades. So that put a damp on shortwave. While I was in college studying, I don't remember being or doing shortwave, because I think studying was so intense that shortwave wasn't existing in my life really much. It came back. Shortwave comes back somewhat when I got my first jobs working. Now I had more time because you don't have to study when you work. And I had more time, so I came back to shortwave. Shortwave was my relax. I would go to work in the morning, come back home in the evening, eat, take a shower, and I would just relax with my radios for the evening and my computer. I'm going on BBS, bulletin board systems and stuff. In the 90s, I lived in a place that was fairly quiet in noise levels, which was very nice because it let me listen to shortwave and DX shortwave to a point where I could hear some really interesting stuff. And I remember listening to Radio Nacional what was it? Is so 4904.5, which was Radio Nationale Tchadienne before going to bed, and I could hear all of these things that were, for a lot of people a tough thing because of noise. So I was kind of happy. And I got to say, I was a little bummed down when I moved here, and for the first time was confronted with noise, because here is the first time I realized noise is a problem when you're listening to the radio. And it kind of made me sad a little bit, because I was like, oh man, I never realized that noise could be such a huge problem before this happened. So it's crazy, and I don't know if I would move from here. What would I do? I don't know. I don't know exactly, but I know that noise is a problem, and it would be a difficult task. What else do we have? Padrino says 6105 coming in strong. Radio Japan. This is Radio Japan and Japanese out of Isudun transmitter side in France. As Sheldon says, don't forget, on top of all the YouTube work, I got the International Radio Report recording each week and the monthly World of Utilities on the CIDX Messenger. There you go. I'm starting to look like you, Sheldon. A lot of stuff going around, and you're wondering, how can I do all of this in every month and still be sane? So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, Fridays is a big day. Friday is a big day for me, because I mean, wake up in the morning, check the different articles and the different things we're going to talk about in the International Radio Report. Read it a lot of times to make sure that Sheldon doesn't tell me that my job is over because I'm not doing it right. And then there's after that, so we record the show, I edit the show, I send the show into CKUT, do the live show after that. World Utilities, it's fun to do, but it's work. You gotta do something to do World Utilities, and you do the YouTube stuff. And so it's easy for people to say, oh, you should do this, you should do that, but I'd like someone to spend a couple of weeks in my life and say, oh man, I never thought that it was that much work to do what you do. And I would tell to anybody out there that's like, you got an easy life. Yeah, I want you to go on the air live and talk for 2 hours and 47 minutes. Stay entertaining, stay alive, and have something to say. You think it's easy? It's not as easy as you might think, and you gotta have a talent for that. I can tell you that. Keegan 6105 Radio Japan S1 over S5 on the Ethon Grenadier Edition Field BT Radio. Ranjit Darnall, greetings to you and thanks. Good show. Thank you very much. Jean Paradis, nice to have you on board. 4055 is Radio Verdad in Guatemala. They sometimes come in really well in North America. I've heard that station quite a few times. And it's not very powerful. I think it's not even a kilowatt. They are very low powered. Radio Verdad in Guatemala. So check it out. Sometimes it's surprising. Pedrino, first drive, 1 gigabyte hard drive costs $500 in 97. Yep, absolutely. RJ Dakota says it, 4055, about 700 watts. It's not even a kilowatt. It's crazy that they're making their antenna must be good, because I mean they are making it from time to time here really strong. It's like HCJB on 6050. I mean, they are about 10 kilowatts. It's not very powerful in Quito, Ecuador, and it's really coming in. It really coming in well from time to time. Nagoya John, nice to have you on board. Having a hard time catching up to your videos. Can you recommend a solid first shortwave radio for a complete beginner? RJ Dakota has it. XH Data D808 is a really nice one. If you don't find it at a decent price or don't find it, you can rely on the Texan receivers. Texan PL660 is a great beginner radio that is good performance and works great. What else do we have? Oh, you know, Mike Hill, I remember Radio Japan. I still remember that from my teenage years. Hearing Billie Jean, Billie Jean song by Michael Jackson, but sang in Japanese. And I still remember listening to that and found it so weird back in the times. It's just, it's like that. It's when anything is in a different language, it always sounds weird. Sheldon, I wanted to talk about arrays on Friday. Now you're bumming me down. Oh man, Keegan says the International Radar Report from CKUT. Yes, it's broadcast in in Northwest Arkansas by a Part 15 FCC AM radio station on Sunday nights. Radio Keegan, that's cool. That's kind of cool, And KC Red Dragon 5850 digital transmission. RJ Dakota and Anonco. Yeah, Anonco is one of the best. Anonco is one of the best eBay sellers for shortwave receivers. If you are looking for a radio and aren't sure where on eBay you should actually look for a reliable source and somebody that actually cares. If you have some problems, you have something, Anonco is probably one of the best sellers that will help you out after he sold you a radio. Because on eBay, when they sell you something, it's kind of difficult to get some service after, Look at the K180 WLA antenna that I've got. If it would have been totally crappy, what do you think what I would have done? Nothing. What do you want to do? It's going to cost me a fortune to send it back. It's such a big problem that it's like, I'm going to keep the crappy stuff anyways, It's just that, Kamagzi 1976, Guatemala of Radio Verdad is 4055. I'm going to try it here just for the fun of it. So I put 40. 4055. It's... I'm not hearing it right now. Maybe very weak in the noise. But there's a lot of static crashes tonight. A lot of static crashes. I do see that Radio Japan signal is huge here. Radio Japan is huge on 6105. Absolutely. So, yep. International Radio Report also rebroadcast on Unique Radio in New South Wales, Australia on shortwave every week. So this is kind of cool. And of course, you can listen to us live at ckut.ca. ckut.ca. Oh yeah, this is a music show. It's not Slow Scan TV, Casey Red Dragon. The images sent are not Slow Scan TV. They are MFSK 32, I think. It's a different digital mode. It's not Slow Scan TV. on 5850 KC Red Dragon. They are using it. They're using the same digital modes that are used when there's that broadcast from Kim Andrew Elliott, which is the shortwave radiogram, and they send their images in different mode. It's not slow scan TV. So that's what that's a show called This Is a Music Show, and they have some pictures sent using some digital modes every week. What else do we have? Big Apple 59 is the eBay shortwave radio seller I follow. Okay. I'll check that out. KMXZ76 says 5045 is 505. Man, 4055 is very weak, but he hears something. Pretty much, you know what? Here there was a lot of static crashes, but I did hear some voice and the noise in there. Usually it's more, for me, 4055 is later. It's more in the 0400-ish time frame. 13840 Radio New Zealand. Is it coming in? Yeah, it's coming in. Radio New Zealand on pretty good signal. Radio New Zealand really strong on 13840. 13840 for Radio New Zealand. So if you guys want to listen to the Pacific News, 13840. So it's really, really nice. So, hey guys, we've been on for 2 hours and 56 minutes. Unbelievable when you think about it. Hope you enjoyed tonight's show. The next show will be on Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, and that's 20 hours Universal Time. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. If any one of you guys get a RWM QSL card, I want to know, because I want to get one. Hope you enjoyed the show tonight. It was a lot of fun to do. It was a lot of fun to be here live as usual. So the next show will be on Friday. Don't forget, there's the Facebook group, which is really nice. It has the same name as the YouTube channel, official SWL channel. And it is a great place to be when it's all over here. We passed the 1,000 member mark yesterday. So let's go ahead and get to the 2,000 member mark now, because that's where we're going now. Hope you always enjoy what I do, enjoy the show. And Matt MDK2 says he's got a RWM QSL from 2 or 3 years ago. Cool. So take care, my friends. Hope conditions and propagation helps you out. Never, never let anybody let you down. Take that radio out anywhere. Look weird. Listen to the radio. And I'm going to listen to Radio New Zealand tonight, as it's coming in really well. So take care, everybody. Stay safe. And see you on Friday or next week, depending on your time and your schedule. Bye-bye, everyone. Stay safe. Anybody listening through Seco Radio on 9630 upper sideband, stay safe. Always nice. And this comes out of a channel on YouTube called Official SWL Channel. So check it out. Check the videos. Lots of interesting stuff. Stay safe, everybody. And thank you, Seco Radio, whoever you are, wherever you are, for rebroadcasting my audio on 9630 upper sideband tonight, as you did a few times in the last week or two. So take care, everybody, and hope that you radio on and have fun with your radios. It's an amazing way to, just drift off of whatever's happening around the world. Bye, everybody.